problem in a neighborhood. And I'm a great believer in well-located hotels, I only use public transportation. It's the safest. Example, my husband he broke his leg in Paris. His hotel was in a terrible neighborhood. His hospital was in a terrible neighborhood. I took the bus back and forth at night because a bus stop has a light and other people waiting for it. I'm a big believer in women using public transportation. You should dress appropriately. If a lot of people are walking quickly, you should get out of there. I had a situation in Cartagena with a lot of people walking towards something. It turned out to be a line of policemen and a line of protesters. We had to get out of there quickly. So I think you can do it almost anywhere. Use your common sense, dress down, use public transportation. Maybe don't stand on the street with a map open like this. Study the maps, know where you're going, use GPS on your phone, you'll be fine. One caveat, sometimes at night, I do find it uncomfortable to go out for dinner. Depends on the city. And that brings me back to the group versus solo. If you're with 2 or 3 other people, you're going to go out at night. If you're alone and it's dark and the hotel's on a dark street, you might not.
Okay. How has travel for women changed since you started?
There are more companies. There are many more companies kind of doing the popular tour, what you're supposed to see in London or in India. There are very few like mine that cater to an older woman. It seems to be everybody wants the cool young crowd, but honestly, Dan, we've got the money. The women over 65 are the richest citizens of the United States. So that's one difference. There are more of them, more of the adventure type. A lot of big companies try to get into the women's market. They test it. Do they get in? Not necessarily, but it looks good. Looks like you're friendly towards women. And women have become more used to traveling. Business travel is common amongst women professionals now.
Phyllis, in pitching and selling travel articles, I've often encountered female travel editors, but I've also met many female writers. Would you say women are more accepted now than they were when the 21st century began? And what accounts for that change?
I'm not an editor, so I can guess at this. They're just more educated women who have a sense of adventure. And here we are back in Cuba, who enjoy writing. Also, there are more outlets. You know, there's the blogosphere, there's Substack. There are many more outlets now, and women tend to do well as sole proprietors. If that answers your question, I think women are more interested in the social part of traveling, in the food part, in the social history, in the local situation, good or bad. So I think we're just out there. There are more of us now.
Okay, this is Travel Itch with Dan Schlossberg. Roger Noriega is not with us tonight. We're in our 14th season, approaching our 600th episode, which will mark with an hour-long special on June 19th. We're live at 5 New York time every Thursday on LinkedIn, YouTube, WhatsApp, X, and Facebook, among others. And we're talking women's travel with Phyllis Stoller. Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Is fear a factor for women planning to go overseas or even to travel domestically?
Before COVID, I would have said that fear was a factor, but not the big factor. That the big factor was the industry looking down on women traveling alone. The industry with brochures of the handsome couple on the cruise ship or the couples in the group tour. I think since COVID, women are more concerned about their health overseas. Too many stories of I tested positive and then I was left alone in a hotel room kind of thing. The position of women has changed women today travel for work. I read that the highest percentage of women travelers were Asian women, focusing on the Asian market. But when I used to travel for the bank, nobody I knew traveled. So I think everything has changed. We're much more demanding of our rights. We want to be treated well. When we check into a hotel, we want to get the same room as the guy is going to get. We want the same table as the guy would have gotten. We don't put up with being second-class citizens anymore because we're traveling often for our jobs.
Phyllis, are most of your trips at home or abroad? And do you like to try new places or go back to places that you liked before?
We don't do much domestically anymore. The reason is the cost is higher than going overseas. The dollar's been strong until recently. For instance, a 5-night trip in New York City is going to run $3,000 in a decent hotel. For $3,000, there are a lot of places you can go. I look for new places. Saudi Arabia is a great example. We've done a lot of trips to Mexico City, one of the great global capitals, which is only now being recognized as special as it is. The Umbria trip, we've never done truffle hunting before, but I thought it would be a fun, very local insight into farming industry in Italy. So I'm looking for unusual for a couple of reasons. A lot of women haven't done unusual. We went to Azerbaijan as an example. Also because it gels the group. When you're in unusual places, women who might not know each other start talking. I'd also think we bring back to the United States a better worldview. We meet up in Baku, Azerbaijan. We had a woman come talk to us. I met her through a professional organization that I'm a member of. We all came back with a completely different view of women in a Muslim country. So if that answers your question, I look for different and learning experiences.
Will women encounter issues with currency, cuisine, or customs in other countries? And what warnings should they consider, especially State Department warnings about problems in other countries?
Well, you should definitely read the State Department, but read the whole notice. Don't read the headline in your local paper. Example, Mexico. If you read the State Department notice on Mexico, you have to get it down into very specific areas. It's not Mexico City. It's not Ixtapan de la Sal, where I go often with groups. It's crossing the border at night. So you have to read the whole thing and understand that it's like a medicine bottle. It'll tell you everything terrible that can happen to you if you're allergic. But you should definitely read State Department and go ahead and read the UK, the Australian, the Canadian. Get a better worldview of what's going on. When I lived in Miami, the German consul was a neighbor. He was getting notices from Germany not to go to Miami because it was dangerous. So, read everything with a pinch of salt and use your common sense. Here's another way. I got another suggestion. If you can get travel insurance to that destination, that's a good sign.
Have you or would you go to a war zone?
No, I would not go to a war zone. If the State Department tells you not to go, that's different from watch your wallet, be careful at night in resort areas. That's a no. I have never been in a war zone. I'm just thinking what would be a good example. Well, the riot in Cartagena, there were drawn guns at that riot. There were people running for their life. Would the guns have gone off? I have no idea. But it's a very frightening experience to feel that vulnerable in a military situation. So.
Well, I've been in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta, where I saw the federales in jeeps with their machine guns.
Yeah, well, I have to say this. The port towns and the beach towns have lots of tourists who are up to no good. They're looking for drugs, for prostitutes, for cheap watches that are fakes. So they are different from cultural Mexico. Oaxaca, Puebla, Mexico City, these are real cities with real things to see. I know I was at the Javits show one year, and there was a big protest about going to Mexico because a college boy had died. Well, the story behind the story was he died of alcohol poisoning. So the image given to people at the show was, don't go to Mexico, it's dangerous. You have to get the real story.
Okay. You said Mexico is the most misunderstood destination. Obviously, there are problems caused by the cartels, but your explanation you just gave, right?
Yeah, yeah. Besides, the Mexican people are very friendly. You would think that perhaps now with the tariffs and this and that, but it hasn't changed. They're very encouraging to American tourism. They're very religious. They're very caring. They will always say yes, even when they don't know what they're talking about. They will always say yes. But they are very caring, family-oriented people. And maybe a 1950s kind of caring that we don't have anymore. But most Americans go to the beaches or take cruises. They don't see the real Mexico, the colonial Mexico, the UNESCO heritage sites, the ancient pyramids, the Mayan villages where they're grinding cocoa beans. They don't see the real Mexico, and the real Mexico is stunning, exciting. The mountains are cool in the summer. The foliage is fabulous. The roads are very good. So that's my pitch for Mexico.
Okay. Many females have a fondness for fitness. I took a class at my local senior center where there were 26 women and 4 men. Do you find fitness fitting on the road? And how do you recommend other women also stay in shape?
Well, I can't recommend that women stay in shape. I can say you should, if you're going on a group tour especially, or just by yourself, you should be able to lift your suitcase. There is a time when there's not going to be anybody to help you. It can happen. You should be able to walk a couple blocks with your suitcase. You should be able to walk a mile minimum. You should be able to do stairs. You should have balance. So a couple things I recommend is get a little fitter before you travel. Get an exercise routine to do in your hotel room. I have one that I do mainly for stretching after a long plane flight. Stay in a hotel that has a gym that is lighted and has a service person in it. When I was a banker, they used to put me at a 5-star hotel at Wall Street. The gym was completely dead empty. It was the end of a corridor, and I was very uncomfortable using it. So if you think you're going to use a gym, check out where it is, how well lit it is, who else can get into it, and that sort of thing. But fitness should go along with travel. You'll lose a lot if you can't do a walking tour. Walk through a museum like the Orsay, which is enormous. Walk along the Thames. You will miss a lot. And walking enables you to see signs. The sign that might say, Beethoven lived here, or the Embassy of Texas in 1840, whatever, was in this building. You'll miss a lot if you can't walk.
You must have a long list of favorites, Phyllis. Cities, states, countries, cruises, airlines, and restaurants for starters.
Whoa.
Any special favorites you'd like to mention?
Sure. Well, I'll definitely mention Ixtapan Resort because I love going there. It's kept me fit and thinner and peppier for many years. I do love London. We have a home there. My children were born in London. It's a good first trip, minus traffic in the other direction. I very much enjoy going to Paris, and I like new and different. That's why I like Saudi Arabia or Oman, or you showed us before in Timbuktu. I like the excitement as long as it's safe and accessible.
Okay, but anybody who travels has bad memories too. How about you?
I have a very bad memory of my husband breaking his leg on the first day in Paris.
Oh,
And I will share with the rest of your leaders that healthcare in Europe is generally excellent. It might be socialized medicine, but it is generally excellent. Um, we've had accidents on group trips, um, minor thefts. I guess my most uncomfortable thing was I was giving a speech at the Miami Herald Travel Show in Miami. I left the curtains and balcony open for my hotel room because it was beautiful and there were yachts below and the winds were blowing. And at about 2 or 3 in the morning, somebody was sitting on my balcony. It was the only room in the hotel that shared a balcony. That was really uncomfortable. Two
yes.
people were sitting there having a drink while I was in my nightgown with the doors wide open. That was really uncomfortable. That ranks high.
Understandably. Are all of your trips for work, or do you actually go on vacation too?
Oh, no, I just went on vacation. I told you I went on a Tufts University cruise
Okay.
to 4 places, 3 of which I'd never been to. And that was definitely vacation. I also go to London a lot for vacation. Again, I have a home there. And I go to Mexico sometimes by myself also if I need a cool down, just pamper me to death for a week. Besides that, I'm trying to think where else I've been. I've done a lot of river cruises because you don't have to pack and unpack and you're taken care of beautifully. I think that's probably it. I have kids in California and we live in New York and a home in London. So a lot of this is back and forth and back and forth. And you asked about special airlines. After my husband broke his leg and had to be basically carried onto the plane, I gave Delta a shout out. They were fabulous. There's no way we could have gotten him home without the help of the crew. So I feel I should shout out for that.
You mentioned river cruises, domestic or foreign?
I've only done foreign. The Rhine, the Danube, the Moselle, did the Moselle last year. I have not done the Douro. I will recommend for first-time cruisers the Rhine. It has a beginning and an end that are both easy to get to. There's lots to see, and the seashore is gorgeous. It's hilly with vineyards and castles, so I would say that's the first best one. I've been on a British river cruise that ended up at the Ukraine, where my husband said everybody sounded like Colonel Mustard. But it was a very interesting cruise. It went to places American cruises don't go to, river cruises. So I think I've done them all except the Douro. And I highly recommend them for people who are first-time travelers, need a little bit of hand-holding, and don't want to pack and unpack.
I've done river cruises too, but only on the Mississippi, Ohio, and Missouri rivers. I've done all U.S., and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for those. That's my next group of river cruises.
Okay, when and where is your next trip?
Mexico. I'm taking a group in August 10th to 17th. We have about 18 signed up right now. The weather is 50 to 75 where we're going. We're going to get pampered and go hiking. And if you're active, you can go hiking and do all of that. If you're not, you can be pampered to death and sit in mineral water. You showed a picture of a mud bath with women working out in it. That's my next trip. Followed by visiting 3 little girls in LA, who my son has kindly produced for us.
Okay, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to add?
Don't wait. If you're a woman thinking about traveling, don't wait. It's riding a bike. The first time you go, you're going to be nervous. You're going to overpack. When you get off that plane, you're going to be sick to your stomach. The minute you see the person picking you up, you will begin to enjoy your trip. Don't wait. The world is changing. Currencies are volatile. Do it now.
Our guest today has been accomplished travel journalist and world traveler Phyllis Stoller. Thank you, Phyllis, for visiting with us on Travel Itch, and good luck with your tour company and your travels.
Thank you, Dan. It's been lovely. I appreciate the invite.
And I enjoyed having you. And viewers, with the All-Star Game and Hall of Fame induction weekend looming, this is the perfect time to share the excitement with my latest baseball biography, Home Run King, The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron, featuring a foreword by Dusty Baker. This 265-page hardcover explores Aaron's contributions as a home run hitter on and off the field, as an athlete, and as an advocate for civil rights. That's Home Run King, The Remarkable Record of Hank Aaron. Get it today on Amazon.com. And that's it for this edition of Travel Itch. This is your host and writer, Dan Schlossberg. Roger Noriega returns next week, saying thank you for your time this time. Until next time, join us next week when we'll talk to longtime friend and veteran travel journalist, Irvina Liu. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Good evening and stay safe.
Thanks, Dan. Record this? You want me to put it online?
Okay.